The 1994 baseball strike: how debate can end seasons and careers. The 1994 baseball strike was the most impactful debate to arise in the MLB due to there being a missed season, disappointed fans, and the loss of jobs. In August of 1985, there was a stoppage in baseball, postponing 2 days of games, but this was nothing compared to the disaster that arose in 1994. The owners of MLB were struggling financially, and they thought putting a salary cap on the players was the best option to end their problems. But on the other hand, the players and Donald Fehr, the head of the Players Association, did not want this salary cap. Donald Fehr tried his hardest negotiating with the owners, led by Richard Ravitch, but the owners were too greedy to let the salary cap go. The players had no choice but to go on strike. August 11th, 1994. At this time, the season was coming together and the Montreal Expos had the best record in baseball, and they had a high chance at winning their first World Series. But the debate between the owners and players was escalating, and the players were planning to go on strike the next day. The fans were extremely disgruntled because the season was coming to end, so to show their irritation, they created posters and signs to show their disapproval of the strike. Strike 1. The season. A direct result of the strike beginning was the season coming to an end. 948 games were missed, including the World Series, which hasn't been missed since 1904. The World Series had continued through World War I and World War II, showing the power of debate on the game of baseball. According to Baseball Reference, in 1994, approximately the last 50 games of the regular season and the postseason were canceled due to a players' strike called by the Major League Baseball Players Association and their leader, Don Fehr, on August 11th. The World Series was not played for the first time in 90 years. This statement clarifies how the power of debate can end an entire season of baseball. The MLB was running smoothly for 90 years through wars and conflict, but when the debate struck, the entire season was over. As shown by this chart, there were major wars between 1994 and present time, but the only time baseball stopped was during the 1994 baseball strike.
"90 years since the last time a World Series wasn't played. It's never happened before, really, in modern history. In terms of the damage it'll do, this is the sport that depends most on history and continuity. Now, it's not just that you don't have the World Series. If you don't have some resolution to the season, even 1981, which had a 50-day strike in it, eventually had playoffs and a World Series, and the season ended. The Dodgers beat the Yankees in the World Series. Then you go into the off-season. Then you have your hot stove league. You have free agent signings and trades, and wait till next year, and can my team defend, and how can we improve, and you sell your season tickets, and you make your plans.
In conclusion, the impact that the season ending had on the players, fans, owners, and reporters was tremendous. The season also had an impact on the teams and franchises as represented by the Montreal Expos. Strike 2. The fans. The fans were hit very hard by the season ending. The fans lost their entertainment, and some even stopped watching the game of baseball for good. It seems as the fans went on strike also, as they created signs and banners to show that they did not want their game to leave. This also destroyed MLB's economy because no fans buying tickets means no money is made. This graph shows the massive dip in ticket sales in 1994 and 1995, showing fans were not coming to games, and even after the strike, fans were disappointed in the MLB and didn't come back to the sport for a long time or forever. This graph also displays how other sports were thriving while baseball was not. The MLB attendance dropped greatly in 1994, and the numbers haven't recovered, proving that fans who left the game at this time have never came back. The only thing I'd like to say to both sides is that there are a lot of little kids out there who want to see this season. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, speaking on this topic, shows just how important baseball is to America, and when baseball leaves, all the fans are expected to be extremely disappointed.
I think the feeling that surrounds this baseball strike is different than those of the past. In the past, people were annoyed and even angered, but they still were hopeful. Now I sense that people have been alienated. I don't say that it's permanent, but I say it'll be longer lasting for many people than it has been in the past.
So you don't believe that as soon as they get it back together, for all those people who say this is different, that as soon as they get the game started again, all those fans will have that long and traditional appetite for the game?
The fans of MLB practically put on a strike of their own just to send a message to the players and owners. The point of the fans doing this was so there wouldn't be a strike. But once the strike started, the fans lost all of their baseball entertainment and a majority of them lost their love for baseball. The fans became brainwashed in the absence of their sport, so many of them have never returned. Strike 3. Jobs. The stadium workers were also greatly affected by the strike. All of the workers lost their jobs. Vendors, umpires, cameramen, stadium cleaners, ball boys, and players all lost their jobs. Mike Gallagher's MLB career ended because he had to find a different job. Bo Jackson and Rick Sutcliffe retired because of the strike. Rich Gossage and Dave Stewart simply lost interest in the game, and some players, including Harold Reynolds, got out of shape, causing them to be cut from their team. The strike got me, man. It got a bunch of us. We faded in, and we faded out. I wanted to keep playing this game until they tore my uniform off. The strike tore it off for me. You don't leave the game leaves you. Some of them, like veteran Mike Gallagher, then of the New York Yankees, got regular jobs. Really. As Jim Capel of ESPN wrote several years ago, Gallagher took a job stocking shelves at Kmart. Many players lost their job because of the lack of baseball. The players either got tired of the sport or couldn't play anymore. These players even left baseball for a worse job, but still didn't come back even when given the opportunity, showing how the strike had altered them. People who worked at the stadiums lost their jobs because they had no games to work for, showing how the strike affected small jobs as it did to more important jobs. Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier was the most impactful debate to arise in the MLB because of the impact it has on the game today. Jackie Robinson changed baseball and other sports by promoting African Americans to participate in American sports. Robinson's entry led the way to integrated teams and a steady rise in the number of professional black baseball players, said Jens Krogstad. As seen in this graph, there were no African American players in the MLB until Jackie Robinson, and right when Jackie Robinson joined the MLB, there was a 43-year spike of African American players. The debate of Jackie Robinson joining the MLB was the most impactful event to occur in the MLB because of the impact it had on the percentages of ethnicity in baseball. Ever since Jackie Robinson joined the MLB, more players of different races have been playing American sports. The Montreal Expos lost their best chance at winning their first World Series and having the greatest record of all time. Due to there being no season, the players and owners both weren't being paid, meaning the MLB was losing money. This caused the MLB's economy to crash, and money was being lost on all ends.
Damage already done in tangible terms, the hundreds of millions of dollars lost, the possibility
They're
to
putting
capitalize.
the figure at like $400 million for the owners and 350 plus for the players.
And the possibility to capitalize on what could have been a season of great individual achievements, and by luck they could have had the Yankees and Dodgers, or Yankees and Braves, or the Cleveland Indians could have been the darlings of the country, could have been in the World Series.
So baseball this year had a
capitalized
great
on this thing.
opportunity to excite the populace and maybe generate new fans.
Yeah.
Then the downfall of the Montreal Expos began. After losing their best chance at a World Series, the Montreal Expos lost a majority of their star players. Without these star players, the Expos were struggling to win games, and this caused a decrease in attendance at their stadium. With no money from no tickets being bought, the Expos couldn't afford any more players. This process continued for 9 more years until their franchise ended when they relocated to Washington and became the Nationals. The debate of the 1994 baseball strike was taken to federal district court on March 31, 1995, where future Supreme Court Judge Sonia Sotomayor made the ruling to keep the previous labor agreement. This decision ended the debate, and baseball started up again the next season. In conclusion, the season coming to an end, ruining the Expos franchise, the fans being disappointed and beginning a strike of their own, and the players and ballpark workers that lost their jobs all solidified the fact that the 1994 baseball strike was the most impactful debate to arise in the MLB.